You already signed. Don't play the emotional single mom card. That's what the salesman told her. He didn't know the man by the parts counter sipping coffee was the CEO, and he'd heard everything. Jackson Cole hadn't worn a name, badge in 7 years. Not because he didn't believe in being present, but because somewhere along the way, present became filtered through Zoom calls, quarterly charts, and speeches with bullet points. But today, he wore no name at all. Just jeans, a plain blue shirt, and a ball cap pulled low. To anyone walking past the parts counter, he looked like a customer. To the guy behind the register, he was just another slow-moving man nursing a coffee. But he wasn't here to browse. He was here to listen. The showroom was quieter than he remembered. No loud greetings, no test drive talk, just the sharp click of keys, the hum of a copy machine, and the too loud voice of one salesperson holding court near a corner desk. Look, I'm not saying the fee is optional. It's just part of the process. Jackson turned his head slightly. The voice belonged to Chad, young, slick, with that tight-necked shirt look that screamed overconfident, undertrained manager. He wasn't talking to Jackson. He was talking to Amber. She sat at the edge of the finance desk, baby carrier by her feet, one hand gently rocking it, the other holding a cheap plastic pen above a contract. Her eyes darted back and forth across the paperwork. This line, $995 for what? Admin bundle? Covers a bunch of back-end stuff. Tech, processing. It's all automated now, but corporate still bills it. Jackson's eyebrows lifted. I thought this was included in the MSRP. MSRP doesn't factor in dealership-level protections. Amber paused. Looked again. The baby whimpered. She bounced the carrier gently with her foot. I'm on a tight budget. This was supposed to be my reliable car. Chad smiled. But it was the wrong kind of smile. You've got good credit. Single moms usually struggle, but hey, you've got a chance. Don't overthink it. Jackson's stomach turned. He didn't move right away. Instead, he looked toward the glass window separating sales from service. Beyond that, the wall of awards. One of them had his name etched into the frame. For Leadership with Integrity, 2021. It felt like a joke now. Amber spoke again. So, if I cross out this fee, contract won't process. But it's not government mandated. It's dealership mandated. The baby coughed. Amber wiped her eyes, and then Chad dropped the line that would change everything. Look, you already signed the test drive doc. Don't play the emotional single mom card. It's $9.95. We're not robbing you. Jackson's blood ran cold. He stood up, slowly, calmly. He didn't yell, didn't charge. He just walked to the counter, picked up the contract copy Chad had left half-stapled, read the fine print, circled the fee with a nearby pen, and quietly said, "Who authorized this?" Chad blinked. "Who are you?" Jackson looked him in the eyes and smiled. "You'll find out in about 10 minutes. Jackson didn't say another word to Chad. He just handed the contract back to Amber and said, "You deserve to know what's in every line before you sign." Amber stared at him, unsure. "You work here?" Something like that. Then to Chad, "I'll be sitting in on this one. Let's make sure it's clean." Chad blinked, clearly unsure what authority this quiet man carried, but something in Jackson's voice said, "Don't challenge me," and Chad didn't. He stepped back, cleared his throat, and started explaining line by line. Jackson sat just behind Amber, phone in hand, taking notes. What he was actually doing. Logging line items, timestamps, the fee language, the micro-behaviors. Each one was added to a secure app only he and his executive assistant had access to, a feed tagged Branch 14 fee patterns. By the end of Amber's walkthrough, he'd documented 7 separate pressure tactics Chad had used. We can't remove that. That's just corporate. Everyone pays that. The system won't approve the loan without it. All untrue. All policy violations. After Amber left, without signing, Jackson quietly made his way to the back finance office. It was cluttered, dimly lit, and smelled like coffee and toner ink. The desk was unlocked. He sat, opened the drawer, and there it was. 2 stacks of contracts, 1 approved, 1 awaiting client signatures. He opened the top 5 on each stack. Every single one had the $95 admin bundle fee. 3 had additional protection plan charges that were worded to sound required, but were not. And then he found the kicker. A sticky note paper-clipped to 1 application. Written in blue pen, barely legible. Push for full-tier add-ons. Bonus bump if signed by EOM. MM was Matt, the regional sales director. Jackson's regional sales director. He took a photo, then walked straight to the printer. Q log on the corner screen. Sorted by employee. Chad's name popped up with 22 print jobs labeled Contract Draft Final. He clicked the most recent, printed it, and highlighted 3 parts in red. "This is bigger than a fee," he muttered. "This is a culture." Jackson stepped into the break room. 2 service techs sat eating from styrofoam trays. They looked up nervously when he entered. "I'm just passing through," Jackson said casually. "Question. Ever seen anything weird with the contracts?" Out front, they exchanged a glance. "Define weird," one said. "Fees that don't feel real. All of them feel fake," the other said, chuckling. Jackson leaned in. "You ever say anything?" "To who?" the first one said. "Last guy that did got his hours cut, quietly." Jackson nodded, then looked toward the back hallway, where Chad now stood, phone in hand, pacing and glancing over. He knew something was happening, but he still didn't know who he was looking at. Jackson walked outside and called his assistant. "Get me Matt. Tell him I want every training deck from the last 12 months pulled. I want to know what they're teaching the floor." "On it," the assistant said. "You want to ID yourself to the branch yet?" Jackson looked back at the glass door. "Not yet. I want to see if anyone else speaks up first." The next day, Amber returned, not to buy, to ask questions. She walked in with a binder, thin, dog-eared, and labeled Consumer Protection Rights, Vehicle Financing. Kendra, the receptionist, blinked. "You back for the Altima?" "Back. To check the truth," Amber replied. She didn't raise her voice, didn't act angry, just focused. She walked straight past the showroom floor, baby carrier swinging gently at her side. Chad saw her from his desk and tried to intercept. "Amber, hey. Listen, I talked to my manager. We might be able to lower that admin." "No," she said. "I'm not here for a discount. I'm here to understand why you lied to me." Jackson stood near the waiting area, holding a customer. Coffee cup. Not drinking it, watching it. He stepped forward slowly. Amber saw him. "You again." "I said I'd stick around." "Who are you?" Jackson smiled. "Someone who believes you deserve answers." Then he turned to Chad, voice calm but firm. "Let's go over the contract again. This time slowly and legally." Chad hesitated. "Sir, you don't—" "Now." The break room was empty when they sat down. Just Jackson, Chad, and Amber. Jackson pulled out the same printout from the day before, but this time, with red pen annotations, he placed it in front of Chad. "Show us which of these fees are mandatory by law." Chad squirmed. "They're standard. Not what I asked. Corporate builds them into the model. We just enforce." "But that's not true, is it?" Amber opened her binder. Pulled out a page. "The FTC doesn't require any of these as preconditions for basic consumer financing. and I spoke to an attorney who confirmed the term admin bundle has no defined legal application. Chad's face fell. Look, he said, it's how we hit quota. Everyone does it. That's not a defense, Jackson replied. That's a confession. Outside, a few employees gathered near the service bay. Word had spread. The quiet man from the day before, he wasn't just watching anymore. A whisper made its way through the staff. I think he's corporate. Maybe higher. Jackson stood up and handed the contract back to Amber. You're free to buy, or walk, but you'll do it with full truth. And if anyone speaks to you again the way they did yesterday, they won't be speaking to anyone here ever again. Amber took the contract, folded it neatly. Thank you. No, Jackson said. Thank yourself for coming back. She left without signing, but not broken. She left in control. Later that afternoon, Jackson called an impromptu floor meeting. Everyone showed up, even the techs. Chad tried to stand in the front. Jackson stopped him. You can sit this one out. Then he turned to the group. What would you do if I told you every bonus you've earned this quarter was built on misleading language? Silence. What would you say if I told you a single mom nearly got pressured into a lifetime of payments she didn't fully understand? Still silence. Then Trevor, one of the new sales trainees, raised his hand. Sir, are you? Jackson nodded. Finally. My name is Jackson Cole. I founded this company 17 years ago, and I came here because someone told me the truth was hiding behind our logo. He walked to the middle of the circle. And they were right. The room went silent. Not the awkward kind. The real kind. The kind that falls after impact, after the illusion breaks and everyone realizes who's been standing among them all along. Jackson Cole? One tech whispered. That Jackson Cole? He nodded once. I didn't come here to catch someone. I came here to confirm something I hoped wasn't true. He turned to Chad, who now looked like he was trying to vanish, into the linoleum. You pressured a woman with a sick infant into signing a padded contract, and then mocked her for hesitating. Sir, I didn't. I read the transcript, I watched the footage, and I watched you double down even after she walked away. Jackson pulled out the printed sticky note he'd taken from the contract drawer. Push for full-tier add-ons. Bonus bump if signed by EOM. Matt. He held it up. Anyone know who Matt is? No one answered. Jackson turned to the assistant, store manager. Call him. Right now. Put him on speaker. The call connected fast. Yeah, what's up? Matt, the assistant said nervously. There's someone here who wants a word. Jackson stepped in. This is Jackson Cole. Long pause. Sir, I didn't know you were... Save it. I've reviewed the fee structures being pushed under your guidance. I've seen the language in your bonus emails. And I know this isn't an isolated incident. Sir, it's performance optimization. No, it's legal proximity fraud dressed up as sales hustle. The call went dead. Matt hung up. Jackson looked back at Chad. Your employment here is terminated, effective immediately. Chad tried to protest, but Daniel raised a hand. Do not speak unless you're apologizing. Chad didn't. Security didn't have to be called. He packed and left. Everyone watched, but not one person stopped him. After Chad left, Jackson turned to the staff again. I don't care about losing a sale. I care about losing ourselves. He paused. We built this company on 2 promises, price transparency and customer dignity. We lost both here. He looked around. And that's my fault too. He took a breath. That ends today. Jackson handed a sealed envelope to the assistant. Manager. This is a temporary leadership packet. You'll manage operations until we assign someone full-time. And until then, I want all contracts run through legal review before closing. The assistant swallowed hard. Yes, sir. And Trevor? The new trainee blinked. You raised your hand when no one else did. From now on, you'll be working directly with ethics and training review. You'll help rebuild the module. Trevor looked stunned. I've only been here 6 weeks. That's long enough to know right from wrong, Jackson said. And that's what we need. As Jackson left the branch that day, he passed the front desk. Amber was there. Not to buy, to return. A coffee, and a thank you note. I didn't know who you were, she said. Didn't matter, he replied. You spoke up anyway, Amiao. Handed him the note. Not everyone would have listened. He opened it in his car. Inside, it read, You didn't just fix a contract. You helped me believe people still care. Jackson didn't go home after the branch visit. He went straight to headquarters. By nightfall, he was in his 14th floor office, lights off, tie loose, looking out at a skyline that had once felt like progress. But all he saw now was distance. The ad. Next morning, he stood in the middle of the executive boardroom. No slideshow, no donuts. Just a cardboard box in his hand and a single question written on the whiteboard. If we really value integrity, why was it so easy to fake? He didn't wait for answers. He started pulling out files, real contracts, screenshots, emails, fee language inconsistencies, bonus reward systems built on deception, HR complaint reports flagged resolved without any investigation. Handed them around the table, one by one. These aren't bad employees. These are broken instructions, encouraged silence, and misaligned priorities. He turned to the VP of sales. You pushed performance freedom, but never defined boundaries. To the director of compliance. You automated ethics training, but never read the tests. To HR, you didn't investigate complaints. You filtered them by keyword. No one argued, because they knew. Jackson walked to the side wall, pulled down the quarterly goals chart, and pinned up a blank corkboard in its place. This is the new audit wall, he said. Every time someone flags a practice that smells off, it goes here. No names, no punishments, just patterns. He dropped a red pen on the table. First person to post gets $1,000. Silence. Then, the youngest staffer in legal, an intern named Mia, picked up the pen. She walked to the board and wrote, Why do we call it an admin fee if no one can define what admin includes? That's how it started. By the end of the day, the board had 7 notes. By end of week, 24. Some were small. Why is the word optional in gray font? Some were huge. Why are we rewarding lowest discount closures over highest? Transparency ratings? Jackson didn't respond to any. He let the board speak for itself. Meanwhile, he tasked Trevor, the young staffer from the branch, to help redesign the sales onboarding program. They met over video that Friday. We never learned what not to say, Trevor told him. Only how to close fast. That's changing, Jackson replied. Together they rewrote the training manual. Chapter 1 now opened with a single sentence. If you wouldn't explain it to your grandmother, don't say it to a client. 3 weeks later, Jackson flew back to Branch 14. He didn't walk in with a clipboard. He walked in with cupcakes from the bakery across the street. No fanfare. No cameras. He just stood near the reception desk and watched the team work. Amber was back, not as a buyer, but as a guest speaker for the new ethics seminar. Trevor sat at the edge of the room, coaching a new hire. The admin fee was gone. The Rusar contract font had been updated. And on the wall, where the old incentives chart used to hang, a new sign read, Close with clarity or close nothing. As Jackson turned to leave, he passed a note taped beside the exit door. It read, We're not afraid of audits anymore, because now we know we're not alone. He smiled. Finally. 2 months later, Jackson was sitting alone in his office, with a single document on his desk. His succession letter. Not a resignation. Not a retirement. Just a quiet transfer of weight. He'd built this company out of his garage, brick by brick, form by form. And somewhere along the climb, he'd started, believing policies were protection, but now he knew better. People weren't protected by rules. They were protected by leaders who paid attention. That morning, he invited one person to HQ, Amber. She didn't come to sell anything. She came with a laptop full of notes and one question. "Can I help fix the rest of it?" He looked at her, amazed. "You still want to?" "I've been afraid most of my life," she said. "This time I want to be useful." He offered her a consulting position on the ethics board, not because of her credentials, but because she had survived a lie and didn't stay silent. He gave Trevor a formal title, Director of Clarity and Compliance Culture. Not flashy, but it carried real teeth. Trevor's first policy? No more training without storytelling. Show them who got hurt before they learn how to sell. Kendra, the receptionist who used to flinch at complaints, now ran the Welcome Orientation series, and her sessions didn't start with company values. They started with a mirror. "Look at yourself," she told every new hire, "because that's the only person who gets to decide what kind of employee you'll be." One afternoon, Daniel returned to Branch 14 for the final time. No meetings, just memories. He stood in the same corner where Amber had once been told, "Don't play," the single mom card. That spot now had a sign taped above it. Just 3 words: ask, explain, respect. And below it, a message from a recent hire. "I've only been here 4 days, and already, I feel like I'm not disposable." Daniel left the store with no speech, no ceremony, just a folded copy of the new contract format in his pocket. Font was larger. Terms were highlighted, and at the bottom, in bold red text, "Optional fees, your choice. Ask if unsure. We'll always explain." He got into his car, rolled down the window, looked back one more time, then whispered, "Now they get to be better than I ever was." And he drove away, not from failure, from success that didn't need his face anymore. Have you ever walked away from something that didn't feel right, but stayed silent? Like this video if you believe trust isn't optional. Comment below. What would you remove from a contract if no one was watching? Subscribe for more stories where quiet people change broken systems, one truth at a time.